I knew something was wrong the moment I opened the envelope. It wasn't the elegant parchment, or the gold calligraphy spelling my name with a flourish my mother never used. It was the smell, faint like old perfume mixed with something metallic, a scent I hadn't breathed in since the night everything in my life split in two. My hands trembled as I held the letter over the kitchen sink, as if expecting it to pulse or bleed, or whisper the truth I'd been avoiding for 12 years. "We request the pleasure of your presence," it began, and I nearly laughed. Request was a generous word for what my parents usually did. They summoned, demanded, or guilt. But request, that was new. That was suspicious. Still, I stared at the card longer than I should have. Maybe because deep down, a 29-year-old woman shouldn't still crave the approval of people who never bothered to notice her unless she was either a problem or a pawn. Or maybe because, despite everything, I was tired of pretending I didn't care. The dinner was set at La Lure, the fanciest restaurant in the city, the kind of place my parents only went to when my father wanted to show off or my mother wanted to feel important. And then I saw the final line. Family-only formal dinner. Children welcome. A whisper of fear flickered through me, though I didn't know why. I shouldn't have gone. But I did. When I arrived, the chandelier light shimmered on polished marble floors, casting golden ripples over my shoes. A concierge with a perfect smile guided me toward the private room. "Your family is already inside," he murmured, as though delivering a warning. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. Inside, everyone sat around a long rectangular table lined with crystal glasses and silver cutlery. My parents were at the head, looking exactly the same. Pressed, polished, emotionally distant. My siblings sat on either side of them, immaculate as well. My older brother Daniel with his eternal confidence, my younger sister Marie with her perfect posture and carefully rehearsed smile. And then there was the other table, a small round one in the corner near the window, brightly colored, low to the ground, decorated with placemats of cartoon animals. The kids' table. A sinking feeling spread through my chest. Slow, humiliating, thick. My mother didn't even look up as she said, "Oh, good, you made it. You'll be sitting over there." She pointed without shame, without hesitation, without a flicker of awareness of what she was doing. "Over where?" My voice cracked before I could stop it. She lifted her chin toward the miniature table. "There. With the children. We didn't know if you'd be comfortable at the main table given everything. Everything. The divorce I never wanted but survived. The job I fought like hell to keep after my department downsized. The betrayal that shattered my last relationship and left me rebuilding from ashes. The mental breakdown they pretended wasn't happening. Everything. What does that have to do with?" "Well," my father interrupted, swirling his wine, "you've been going through a phase. We just thought a simpler environment might be better for you. Less pressure." Phase. A simpler environment. Like I was fragile. Like I was unstable. Like I was still 16 and recovering from the night nobody in that room dared to talk about. Daniel smirked behind his glass. Marie avoided my eyes. I felt something hot coil in my stomach, the kind of anger that tasted metallic like the scent of that letter. "Is this a joke?" Yes. But no one laughed. My niece and nephew, oblivious to the tension, waved at me from the small table, their mouths stained with berry juice. "Auntie Lila, we saved you the red cup." Only the kids seemed genuinely happy I was there. My mother sighed. "Sit down, please. We've ordered already." Something inside me splintered. For years I'd swallowed every slight, every manipulation, every dismissal. I'd played the quiet one, the steady one, the one who never caused trouble, the one who didn't fight back. Tonight something changed. I sat at the kids' table. Not because they told me to, but because I wanted to observe, to listen, to feel the humiliation sharpen into something useful. Something powerful. The conversation at the main table drifted to me occasionally. Sharp little whispers carried on the clink of glasses. "She's not stable. Maybe if she'd handled the divorce better. We can't risk another incident." Another incident. The words chilled me even after all these years. They still thought I was the problem. They still pretended they didn't know the truth. My niece tugged my sleeve. "Auntie Lila, draw with me." I forced a smile and picked up a crayon. Anything to keep my hands from shaking. But as I scribbled colors across the paper, I heard something that froze me mid-stroke. My father lowered his voice, but I caught every word. "So it's settled then. She'll never know. We'll make sure of it." My blood iced. Know what? But before I could process it, the waiter approached my parents with a sealed envelope, the same kind as the one I'd received. My mother smiled too broadly. "Ah, perfect. Bring it to us later." My heart pounded as I watched them tuck it away like a secret they'd kill to protect. I didn't know what was inside. But I knew, deep in my bones, that it was about me. And for the first time in years, instead of fear, I felt the first spark of fury. The kind that could rewrite a life. I didn't hear much after that. Not the clinking glasses, not the polite laughter, not even my niece asking me to help her open a juice box. My focus narrowed to the envelope sitting near my parents' plates like a ticking clock. Every few minutes, my mother touched it, as if reassuring herself that it was still there, still hidden, still dangerous. The room felt smaller with each passing second, the walls too close, the chandelier too bright, the air too perfumed. My heartbeat was no longer a rhythm but a warning siren thundering in my throat. I needed answers. And I needed them tonight. By the time dessert came, a tower of chocolate mousse that looked delicious but tasted like anxiety, I had already made my plan. My niece, too young to sense anything unusual, kept passing me sprinkles from her bowl. My nephew fell asleep halfway through the meal. His sticky hand wrapped around my index finger. The kids' table was chaos and sugar and innocence. Everything the main table wasn't. Over there, tension simmered under every forced smile. My siblings pretended nothing was wrong like always. My parents smiled with the ease of practiced liars. But I could feel it, the fear underneath. Fear of something resurfacing. Fear of me discovering it. And that fear tasted familiar. It tasted like the night I'd buried a version of myself I never fully mourned. My mother finally lifted the envelope. "We'll give this to you at the end," she said softly, as if speaking to a fragile child. "It's for your own good. My own good." In my family, those words translated to, "This is something you're not allowed to question." But tonight I would. As the meal ended, my parents stood, smoothing their clothes as if preparing for a performance. My mother motioned for me to join them privately near the door. "Lila," she began with that gentle, condescending tone she'd perfected over the years. "Your father and I wanted to do this delicately." My jaw clenched. "We've noticed you've been struggling," my father finished. "Emotionally, mentally, financially, socially." They said it like reading diagnoses off a chart. "So we spoke to a counselor," my mother added. A chill raced down my spine. A counselor. For who? For all of us. To help us understand you better. Understand me. But never ask me. My mother held out the envelope. "This is a list of conditions. Agreements, really. We want you to get help. To get stable again." Stable. The word hit me like a slap. "I'm not unstable," I said quietly, my voice dangerously calm. "Oh, sweetheart." My mother smiled sadly. "You always say that before an episode." Episode. A tremor rippled through me, equal parts fear and fury. And then, understood. The kids' table. The whispers. The secrecy. This envelope. They didn't think I was broken. They needed me to be broken. Because if I wasn't broken, then the story they'd told for years, the lie they'd used to protect themselves, would collapse. I took the envelope, but I didn't open it. Instead, I slid it into my purse like bait. "You expect me to sign anything you put in front of me?" "Yes." "Without explanation." "We're just trying to help you," my father said. "Like we did after the incident." There it was again. The incident. My breath hitched. "You keep saying that like I should know what it means." My parents exchanged a look. Quick, almost panicked. My mother's fingers twitched. My father's jaw shifted. "You do know," my mother insisted. It was years ago, but you remember. No, I whispered. I don't. Silence. Heavy. Then my father spoke quietly, carefully. You had a breakdown, Lila. Severe one. You were volatile. You scared the entire family. We protected you by keeping it private. Breakdown. Volatile. Protected me. Except none of it felt right. I searched their eyes, for truth, for lies, for a flicker of guilt. And that's when it hit me, sharp and sudden. They weren't describing reality. They were describing a narrative, one they'd held onto so tightly that it became their truth. But not mine. Tell me what happened, I said, my voice low. You already know, my father snapped. And we're not rehashing it. My mother stepped in front of him. Let it go, sweetheart. We've moved past it. I inhaled long, deep, steadying. I haven't. My mother's face tightened. Lila, please. If you start obsessing again. Again. I laughed softly. You've been labeling me as unstable since I was 17. Why? Her lips parted, but no answer came. And that silence was the loudest confession of them all. The truth sat between us now. Invisible but undeniable. They needed a scapegoat. They chose me. And they built an entire family history around it. But before I could confront them, the door to the private room opened and Daniel poked his head out. Hey, everyone's waiting. We should take the family photo. Course. The facade had to be perfect. My parents plastered on their practiced smiles and walked out before I could say another word, leaving me standing in the dim hallway, my lungs tight, my thoughts racing. I opened my purse and pulled out the envelope. Its weight felt heavier now, like a key to a cage I never consented to enter. When I ripped the seal, a thin stack of papers fell out. And at the very top, in bold letters, were the words, Mental Health Agreement. Prior Incident Protocol. My hands shook as I flipped to the second page. And that's when I saw it. Date. A hospital admission form. Name. My signature. Except, it wasn't my handwriting. It wasn't even close. And beneath it, a diagnosis I had never seen. Never been told. Never agreed to. Never lived. My stomach dropped. They had faked it. Documented it. Built years of decisions around it. My life rewritten. Rage and nausea tangled in my throat. The hallway swayed. My ears rang. I staggered toward the bathroom to catch my breath. And when I pushed the door open, the last person I expected to see was standing at the sink. Marie. She froze. Her eyes darted to the papers in my hand. You saw it, she whispered. My heart hammered. Why? Marie swallowed hard. Lila. You weren't supposed to find out. I stepped closer, voice trembling. What did they do to me? Her gaze dropped, her face pale. Ask yourself, she murmured. Why would they need to declare you unstable, unless someone else needed to look innocent? My breath caught. What are you saying? Marie's voice cracked. It wasn't you, Lila. You didn't have the breakdown. You didn't hurt anyone that night. A chill pulsed through me. She looked up, tears pooling. It was me. The floor seemed to drop beneath me. Marie backed away toward the door. Her voice a whisper of terror. And they'll do anything to make sure no one ever knows. She slipped out of the bathroom before I could speak, leaving me staring at my own shaking reflection, the truth crashing through me like lightning. If what she said was true, then my entire life, my reputation, my relationships, my trauma was built on a lie. A lie meant to protect her, my little sister. And now I knew. Which meant I wasn't just a threat to their story. I was a threat to the family itself. The bathroom mirror reflected a woman I barely recognized. Eyes wild with betrayal, cheeks flushed, hands trembling violently around a stack of lies disguised as paperwork. My lungs fought for air, but the ceiling felt too low, the walls too tight, the truth too heavy. Marie's confession replayed in my mind like a broken record. It wasn't you, Lila. It was me. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. If she was telling the truth, and my gut screamed she was, then my entire life had been built on the ruins of someone else's guilt. And my parents, they didn't protect me. They sacrificed me. Why? 'Cause I was the strong one. Because I survived things they didn't understand. Because I was easier to blame than their golden child. The mirror blurred as the memory I'd buried for 12 years clawed its way to the surface. I saw flashes at first, voices, muffled crying, the smell of smoke from the fireplace, a shattered vase on the floor. Then sharper images. Hasty hands grabbing my arms, my mother shouting, Daniel locking a door, my father's shadow towering over someone on the ground. Marie, sobbing, hysterical, clutching her wrists. And me, kneeling next to her, trying to calm her, trying to stop her from hurting herself. Then the moment everything shifted. My parents bursting into the room, seeing not what happened, but what they needed to see. Marie shaking. The broken glass. Me holding her. She did it again, Marie cried, her voice trembling with shame, confusion, and panic. I remembered now, the terror in her eyes. The wildness. She didn't mean to blame me. She didn't understand what was happening inside her. She was only 15. But my parents, they understood exactly what they could do with that story. And I had been too shocked, too young, too loyal to defend myself against their version of the truth. They told the extended family I had episodes. They told neighbors I was emotionally unpredictable. They told therapists half-truths and forced narratives until even professionals doubted me. They rewrote me. I gripped the sink, blood roaring in my ears. 12 years of being dismissed. 12 years of being the problem. 12 years of being the wrong one. Quiet knock jolted me back. Lila. Marie's voice, small and breaking. Please, come outside. I need to talk to you. The apology in her tone was real. Raw, terrified, human. But I wasn't ready to face her. Not yet. Instead, I straightened, wiped my tear-streaked cheeks, gathered the forged documents, and walked out of the bathroom like a woman heading into a storm she was finally strong enough to survive. The private dining room fell silent when I re-entered. My family posed stiffly for the perfect photo. My father adjusting his cufflinks, my mother angling her chin upward, Daniel smiling with politician-like precision. The photographer they'd hired waited for me to join. My mother's smile wavered when she saw the papers in my hand. Lila, she said cautiously, let's not make a scene. Scene. That's what they were afraid of. Not the truth. Not the harm they'd done. Just the appearance. I stepped beside the table, ignoring her outstretched hand. I remember, I said, my voice echoing through the room. The photographer lowered his camera. My father stiffened. Remember what? The night you all swear was my incident. The one you built an entire diagnosis around. I tossed the papers onto the table. They scattered like broken pieces of a puzzle. Forged signatures, false statements, medical files stained with lies. Daniel's smile vanished. Marie's face crumpled. My mother paled. My father's jaw locked. I continued, relentless. It wasn't me. 'Twas Marie. I was trying to stop her from hurting herself. My mother shot a glare toward my sister. Marie. She told me everything, I cut in. She remembers. And she remembers your decision. Throwing me under the bus so she wouldn't look unstable. So your perfect family image wouldn't crack. My father slammed a hand on the table. Lower your voice. I didn't. For the first time in my life I didn't. You sacrificed me, I said. You lied to doctors. You lied to family. You lied to me. Do you have any idea what those lies cost me? My voice broke. Do you know what it's like to question your sanity every time you cry? To doubt your own memories. To be treated like a threat. To be told you're the unstable one so often you start believing it. My mother took a step toward me, tears in her eyes. We did it to protect Marie. No, I said sharply. You did it to protect you. Your pride. Your image. Your reputation. Marie sobbed quietly behind them. And you, I said, turning to her. You were a kid. You were hurting. You didn't understand what you said or what it meant. I don't blame you. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. I'm so sorry, Lila. My parents' faces collapsed in panic. They hadn't expected Marie to admit anything aloud. Marie, my father warned, don't. But I held up a hand. I don't need her to confess. I already know the truth. You all taught me to doubt myself, but you're forgetting something. I stepped closer to my parents, my voice low, steady, unshakable. I survived everything you did to me. I rebuilt myself every time you tore me down. And now I know who I am. My mother whispered, please don't ruin the family. I'm not ruining the family, I said. The lies did that. I'm just done carrying them. I picked up the forged papers. I'm leaving these with you. You can burn them, shred them, hide them, but you'll know the truth every time you look at each other. I turned toward the exit. My father barked. Where do you think you're going? I met his eyes, calm and fierce. To build a life without the people who tried to convince me I was broken. Then I walked out of that dining room, out of the story they forced on me, out of the identity they carved into my skin. Each step felt lighter, stronger. I passed the restaurant windows where my reflection appeared. Not fragile, not unstable, not a scapegoat, but a woman who finally chose herself. And as the glass doors closed behind me, I heard Marie calling my name. Her voice desperate, apologetic, hopeful. But I didn't turn back. Not because I hated her, but because the woman I was becoming didn't need to. Outside, the night air wrapped around me. Cool, cleansing, liberating. For the first time in years, I breathed deeply, filling my lungs with a truth that belonged only to me. I wasn't the girl at the kids' table. I wasn't the scapegoat. I was the storm they never expected to face. And I was just getting started.